Hello. Thank you for tuning into True Crime Stories. I'd like to thank and welcome all my new subscribers and the people that view my page. I hope you continue to be subscribed and to like, comment, share my videos, and tune in to new videos that I post. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority is a public benefit corporation responsible for public transportation in the New York City metropolitan area in the northern eastern United States. The MTA is the largest public transit authority in North America, serving 12 counties in downstate New York, along with 2 counties in southwestern Connecticut under contract to the Connecticut Department of Transportation, carrying over 11 million passengers on an average weekday system-wide and over 850,000 vehicles on its 7 toll bridges and 2 tunnels per weekday. Before MTA took over NYC's transit system, the city's public transportation was operated by several different systems, including the IRT, the original subway line which opened in 1904. The IRT also operated elevated railways and other rapid transit lines. The BRT, or the Brooklyn Rapid Transit Company, later known as the Brooklyn Manhattan Transit Corporation, was one of the 2 privately owned systems that operated the subway before the city took over. The Independent Subway System, or the IND, was a city-owned and operated system that opened in 1932 to compete with the private systems. NYCTA, New York City Transit Authority, was created in 1953 to take over the subway, bus, and streetcar operations from the city. In 1968, the NYCTA was placed under the control of the MTA. The subway includes 472 stations and has an average of 3.2 million daily riders, and the bus has 236 local bus routes and a daily ridership of 1.4 million. The MTA has over 50,000 employees who are collectively responsible for providing safe, reliable, and efficient subway service. Of course, there are multiple transit services across the land providing the same services. Some are more reliable than others. With this responsibility to transport millions of people back and forth each hour of the day, it tends to be very stressful. Bus drivers and subway operators have to constantly deal with mouthy and impatient customers. They have to deal with malfunctions, such as having the transit cars break down, natural weather occurrences, and many other inconveniences that put a lot of stress on the commuters, which will ultimately put stress on them. These operators have to work long hours every week to provide for their families. They might even spend more time at work than they do with their families. Public transportation operators and drivers help people all over the world get around. Without them, many people would not have a way to get to work or to school. We appreciate all the drivers across the world: truck drivers, van drivers, airport shuttle drivers, limousine drivers, Uber and Lyft, any cab service drivers, and everyone else who provides transportation to the public. Despite all the customers who take their services for granted, people like myself will always be grateful, especially those using their personal cars. To those who have never had the opportunity to take public transportation or to utilize a car service, hopefully after watching this video, you will gain a new respect for those who gave away so much of their time so that we have a way to get back and forth. Today, we are going to talk about a man that worked for the MTA and who loved to drive. Edwin Thomas was a native of Haiti who lived in Brooklyn, New York. He was a father of 2 children and worked for MTA as a bus driver for 7 years. Thomas was born in Haiti on September 12, 1962. He had 4 siblings, 3 brothers and a sister. His family moved to Brooklyn in 1981. In 1990, he had a son named Jeffrey with his then wife. They were divorced, and soon after, in 1992, Edwin got with his best friend Esther, who grew up with him in Haiti. Together, they would have a daughter named Edley. Edwin and Esther were separated in 2001, and Edwin would get married again to a woman named Maggie. In the mid-90s, Edwin took a job at the post office, but in 2001, there was a scare. There would be something called the anthrax attacks, which began after the September 11th attacks. Letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to several news media offices and to senators, killing 5 people and infecting 17 others. Anthrax is an infection caused by the bacterium. Bacillus anthracis infection typically occurs by contact with the skin, inhalation, or intestinal absorption. This would cause Edwin to quit, as he felt the risk of coming in contact with one of the affected letters wasn't possibly worth losing his life. He would later start his training to work with MTA. Edwin had a passion to drive. He worked as a cab driver previously and as a security guard for the subway previously. He collected toy cars and drove his BMW to work at the Flatbush Depot. Edwin put in a lot of overtime working as a bus driver. He loved his job. His particular route this day, which was the B46, began at Marine Park, ran along Malcolm X Boulevard, Utica Avenue, Flatbush Avenue, up to Broadway, traveling through neighborhoods like Flatlands, East Flatbush, Bedford-Stuyvesant or Bed-Stuy, and Bushwick. In 2008, these neighborhoods were not as violent as they were in the previous decades. Many neighborhoods in Brooklyn have been gentrified and the crime slowed down, but it never stopped. Some of these same neighborhoods mentioned were and are still very dangerous. You still have to look across your shoulder and be aware at all times in the city. On December 1st, 2008, the back doors of the B46 bus opened just before noon at the stop on Utica Avenue between St. John's Place and Sterling Place. Horace Moore gets on the bus. Horace swipes an invalid Metro card, and even though he doesn't pay the fare, the bus driver known as Edwin Thomas would allow him to stay on. The Metro card was introduced in 1994. The use of cash and of transfer tickets on the bus was still being used, but had become less common. Riders who used cash now had the option to use a Metro card, which allowed them to transfer to another bus line. For the riders who use pay-per-ride Metro cards, a free transfer to either the subway or another bus line is automatically encoded on the card, which can be used again without a second fare being deducted, as long as the next ride was within 2 hours of the start of the first ride. The bus would then stop on Malcolm X Boulevard and Gates Avenue, and Horace would demand Edwin give him a free bus transfer ticket. Edwin refuses, reminding him that he did not pay for the previous ride. Horace would fly into a rage and attack Edwin. Horace would then take a transfer ticket anyway and turn to leave the bus. Edwin would turn to make it as if he was following Horace, but quickly returned to his seat behind the wheel. For a moment, it seems as if the confrontation was over, but Horace would return and rush toward Edwin, attacking him again. At 12:28, Horace plunged a weapon into Edwin's body 3 times in his chest and his stomach. He would then flee the bus. Edwin was taken to Woodhull Medical and Mental Health Center in cardiac arrest and was pronounced deceased at 1:11 p.m. Later, Horace was found and arrested. 2 years later, in 2010, the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office says that the then 22-year-old Horace Moore was convicted of second-degree slaying and will spend 20 years to life in prison. To make matters even more disheartening, Edwin was a fill-in driver, and this was not his regular route, as he frequently alternated different routes wherever he was needed. At that time, there was an increase in assaults of bus operators. There were 82 assaults in 2006, 99 assaults in 2007, and 74 assaults as of September 2008. In September of 2008, New York City Transit announced the crackdown on fare beating. The Daily News reported that the B46 had the highest rate of fare evasion across the city bus line, with 400,000 4,000 instances of theft of service each week. So being that he did not have a regular route, maybe he did not know the severity of the theft and violence on this particular bus route. If it wasn't Horace, it could have been someone else, unfortunately. When Horace first boarded the bus and sat down despite not having the funds for the transfer, Edwin let it slide. But then Horace started feeling himself and decided to take his life after demanding he get a free transfer. This incident was the first in 27 years at that time. A similar crime occurred in 1981. Harvey Shield, a 27-year-old driver, was fatally wounded on the B-44 bus in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, after denying a rider a transfer. In 1988, Mona Pierre, 39, a subway token clerk, would pass away after a frustrated robber poured flammable liquid into her bulletproof booth and igniting it, engulfing her in flames at the Halsey Street station along the L line in Brooklyn. In 1991, Richard A. Daly, a 35-year-old subway token clerk, reporting for duty at the 145th Street station along the number 3 line in Harlem, was ambushed and fatally wounded by a man who escaped with more than $11,000 in cash and tokens from the unlocked booth. In 1995, another subway token clerk, Harry P. Kaufman, age 50, passed away from burns and lung damage 2 weeks after 2 would-be robbers approached the Kingston Throop Avenue station on the C line, Bed-Stuy, and squirted a flammable liquid through the token slot and ignited it with a match. This attack prompted outrage about a film titled Money Train that was released the year, starring Wesley Snipes and J-Lo, which depicted a token clerk being burned to death. This just goes to show that there are and have always been some unhinged people walking around the city and using MTA. Not only is it dangerous for the commuters, but also for the people working for the company. MTA is a billion-dollar company that makes their money from taxes and ride fare. Fare dodging is an issue, but MTA is known for not always being reliable, even though it is still one of the most popular forms of transportation for NYC residents. Taxing commuters to use its service and raising fares up often, it should be MTA's job to ensure safety at all times at all their stations and bus stops. Instead of having cops patrol the station looking just to arrest people who didn't pay their fare, all stations should have great lighting, and it should be made safe for commuters who travel alone or with young children. With mental health declining and attacks rising, there probably will be more unsolicited incidents. Because of this, more bus drivers are beginning to let issues like fare dodging go, so they won't risk the possibility of being attacked. Many New York City commuters are refusing to pay bus fare, and many drivers are allowing riders to get on without a fuss because they just want to make it home to their families safely at the end of their shifts. There are some bus drivers, though, who will still enforce rules and are prepared to put up a fight. Some do not care about being suspended or fired. People are fed up with the blatant disrespect. Please do not underestimate each other's abilities. Bus drivers, understand many commuters are living paycheck to paycheck, as many of you are as well, I'm sure. These people may not have the money for fare for different reasons. These reasons are not always an excuse not to pay, but if they are nice about it, please do not fight with them. Handle your job the best way you can and follow work protocol, but your safety should always be first. Please and thank you go a long way, but if it doesn't affect your paycheck, please just let them on. It could save your life. We appreciate all the drivers who have been letting passengers ride free at this time. Not all of the passengers are ungrateful. Many do appreciate it, and we respect your job. It's not easy and it can be very dangerous. Commuters understand that these bus drivers work hard and are more than likely tired. Commuters understand that these bus drivers work hard and are more than likely tired. Please do not give them a hard time, especially if they are being lenient. We get it. You may not have it. But can you act civilized? Bus drivers do not owe us anything. But if they allow you to come on without paying the fare, sit down and ride the bus. Do not make the situation complicated. Mayor Bill de Blasio on February 5th signed into a law bill renaming a section of East 49th Street in Brooklyn as Edwin Thomas Way. The renaming is a victory for TWU Local 100, said President John Samuelson, who was president at the signing ceremony at City Hall. The renaming was done at the request of City Council member Alan Maisel, who was lobbied by TA service officers. In this video, the councilman speaks about the dangers faced by transit workers, and Edwin Thomas, who was 16 at the time of her father's slaying, speaks movingly to an audience of hundreds who were in the main chamber of the city council.
Edwin Thomas Way.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, let me congratulate all the families and the friends of the people we are co-naming streets. Most people recognize that if you are a police officer or a fireman, even sanitation, that there's a certain amount of danger that goes along with those jobs. But there are a lot of city positions that, even though it doesn't get in public mind, they're also dangerous. Being a TWU worker, working for the Transit Authority, the MTA, they too come to work every day with that inherent danger. So I'm very, very proud of the fact that my district will now have Edwin Thomas Way in front of the East 49th Street bus terminal. But it's the least we can do, and now Edwin Thomas becomes part of the city's history. Thank you.
Just going to say a few words. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Mayor. Good afternoon, City Council. Good afternoon, everyone as well, and detectives too. December 1st, 2008, I was 16 years old at that time. My dad passed away on the job. He was stabbed and murdered. And I'm going to be 46. And that day was like the worst day of my life, because I wasn't able to even say goodbye. Thank you guys so much, because this means so much to me and my family, and to even be you, and to everyone that had anything to do with this, because now it makes me even more happier, because now I could share with my family, and now we could be happy every time we go next to the depot and see the transit worker Edwin Thomas MTA Way, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I would like to send my condolences to Edwin Thomas's family and friends and those that had to witness this tragedy as well. And I'd also like to send my condolences to the other victims that I mentioned, families and the people that had to witness those tragedies as well. And any other bus driver, toll booth clerk that I didn't mention, any train conductors that I didn't mention that lost their lives in this line of work. Every time we step out the door, we take a risk. Some people like myself work for the public and have to in order to survive in this world. There are a lot of people that make our jobs hard by being unnecessarily difficult. And of course, the intention is never to harm or to get harmed while dealing with unruly customers and employees, but we unfortunately cannot prevent every situation. I hope this story can help change the hearts of people out there. Those that may be dealing with some trauma and can snap at a drop of a dime. Please, if you can, seek help. It's okay. We all fall short sometimes. And, you know, many of us are being affected by the things that happen in this world. Loss of pay, homelessness, just trying to figure out how we're going to get by the next month, the next couple of days. We're all experiencing something. So it's okay to feel how you feel, but you have to get help, because you cannot just attack people because you feel that way. It's not right. I know some people cannot control it, but like I said, if you can, please get help. Thank you for watching this video.